Good evening. This is Mr. McLean. It is almost 8 o'clock here on Monday, the 16th, and obviously we're dealing with some things that we could not have anticipated. So we're going to try our best to make sure that you have the best opportunity to be successful as we try to move through the rest of this AP Bio course. So I wanted to start off just by expressing my sadness for how things are going right now, especially for those of you that are seniors. I know that this is a challenge that none of us were really looking forward to dealing with. With that being said, a couple things that I was thinking about over the last several hours and day is I think that it would make sense for us to try to move into an area of the course that was a little bit less intense in terms of the content, some things that you can definitely move through and be successful with. So even though I'd handed out the biotechnology reading guide before we left, which would be chapter 20. The material in chapter 20 is definitely a little bit more complex. As time goes on, we may need to revisit that. Hopefully we can do that in a classroom setting. If we have to do it virtually, I'll definitely be able to work with you, but I think it would be in our best interest to take a look at a chapter like, or a section of the course that deals with something a little bit easier. And I think that area would be the natural selection and evolution unit. So I'm going to minimize myself here a little bit. There we go. And I just want to bring some information to you that I just became aware of. This is the College Board website that we're taking a look at here under AP. And when we click on it regarding updates for the testing scenarios regarding coronavirus, basically we're on hold right now, and there will be some additional information that's going to be coming out towards March 20th. So I'm sure that the AP College Board group is evaluating the situation as they go, and I would recommend that you please check in on this. Right now, they're saying that the testing will remain as scheduled, and the biology test was scheduled for May 11th as a morning test. That would be the week 2 exams. So there's some discussion about some alternative testing environments and things of that nature. Really can't predict where that's going to be at this particular time, but regardless, whether you're taking the AP exam or if you're just taking this class to hopefully have a good start on what you need in college, I think it would be in our best interest to try to move forward even before we have some total direction as far as what's going to happen. And like I said, be aware of when I'm recording this and understand that things are changing very, very significantly in relatively short periods of time. So what might be true today obviously may be a little bit different going forward. So one thing I wanted to point out to you, if we go over here right at the top of our general class information, one of the things that we have is we have the curriculum framework and the updated, let's look at the updated AP information. This is kind of the chart that I've had on my wall and the resource that came out to us. And I think I have it on like page 25, so scroll through this, sorry for that. But if we move through here to kind of give us, this is the section I was looking for. All right. So what this is going to show us is content-wise what the exam weighting is. And I know we've referenced this in class before, and I think if you take a look at this, let me zoom this in a little bit even further. Obviously, Unit 1, we've spent some pretty extensive time on that. I feel good with Unit 2. I feel good with Unit 3. Unit 4, the cell communication signal transduction component, there is definitely some content in there that we're going to have to get to, and it's going to be part of what we'll have to do. Unit 5, heredity, we hit that pretty hard. Unit 6, gene regulation and expression. I feel really good about that. I know that was the last chapter that we just finished up. So if you take a look at, and honestly, if we expand this a little bit further into section 6, one of the final things that we did need to discuss was biotech. Okay, so there's definitely some content in there that we will have to cover, but otherwise, I feel like we've done a good job with the other content in chapter 6. So my suggestion going forward is that we tackle this 7th unit with a combination of some things that you can read on your own. I have all of the lectures posted, and I'll be making videos. In fact, I'll start this evening. I'll start putting out some videos in each of these different areas. I can tell you that one of the areas that typically shows up as testable content is this Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Those of you that were with me freshman year, I know that we hit things with that pretty hard. We did things like the bare necessities lab and things of that nature. So Hardy-Weinberg, absolutely something that we want to focus in on. This unit actually falls in pretty good in line with what we've been focusing on, because it builds on what we've been talking about from a genetics standpoint, and it gives us an opportunity to kind of see how that genetics becomes, relevant as we move forward into different, studies, I guess you could say, of how things have changed. All right, so the other thing that I have, if we click back on this, getting back into our classroom, and pardon me for just a second with that. So we get back into our classroom. Let's go with classroom. All right, so here we go. We can use period 2 classroom. All right. So you'll notice I posted a bunch of things recently right through here in our stream. A lot of you like to go to the stream. Probably be easiest to go up to the classwork section, and you're going to notice over here on the left side, there's a section called Evolution Unit. When you click on Evolution Unit, you're going to see the content for the Evolution Unit. And AP refers to this particular area as big idea number 1. So when we examine this, you'll see a lot of my notes are referenced as big idea number 1. Chapter-wise, we're looking like 22, 23, 24, and then there's a couple other chapters that come in there with bits and pieces of it. So there's some other content towards the end that we'll definitely be covering with. Right here, you'll see the outline. The outline is pretty extensive, so I'm not sure in this format what's going to be best for you. So we have this outline right here, kind of like what we would normally have. I think I have 17 pages because it's really quite extensive of all the different chapters. And this is where we're going to start out. We're going to start with lecture big idea number 1, part 1. And then as we kind of move through these different things, you'll see that there's, section 2, big idea section 2, and then we'll be able to move on from there. So I'll definitely make sure we reference it, but I think when we jump into that, you'll be able to best be able to continue to move on. A lot of the content will be familiar to you because it's things that were covered pretty heavily in our honors bio curriculum. And like I said, we're going to all do our best to try to move on. We're going to try to make sure we stay on track. And like I said, I'm gonna be here to hopefully support you and be able to help you with this material. Okay, so that's kind of the game plan as of Monday. Please stay tuned. I'll post more things. And as time goes on, we might even be able to do some synchronous discussions. We'll take a look from there. All right, have a good evening and take care of yourselves.